Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to my Dreamweaver tutorials, and this is what we're going to go for. Here we have a layout with our images and text in there. On the left side, I'll be treating this in a different separate tutorials called CSS rollover. So we will deal with this. But what we need is to be able to achieve the layout. The page is centered. It's got a background and it's got a footer down here. So here we have a header. Okay, the header contains the logo and the banner image. We have the content area, which is this section of it, and then on the left side we have the navigation area where we have our sub links or our major links, and then we have the display area and the footer. So we're going to find out how we can be able to arrange this using divs. So I'll go right into Dreamweaver, and if you don't know how to define a site, again, before you start any project, you want to define a site. To define a site, you go to site and new site. Because I've already defined this, I'm going to indicate manage site. Okay, and when I choose the site, I give it the name cars. I'll click on edit. It brings you to the same window if you had selected new. So you give it a name, point to the folder, which I've already done. It's on the desktop here. All right, and I'll click on save. So I'll click OK and done. Right, so we are ready to work. When we go into our files panel, you would find that the files and folders that are already in that particular folder are showing right in here. I already have a finished version of this in I call it temp. Okay, but I'm going to recreate this one more time. So I may be referencing this every now and then. So I'm going to go into my files panel and I'll create a new file, fresh file. We're going to sort of recreate this very one here, and let me call it index.html. So as I said, this might come in a series of tutorials. It will be too long if I had to complete everything. So I'm going to double click on this right here, and we know we have different divs. We have different sections, so each section is going to be defined by a box. First, we're going to create the wrapper. So I'll go to the main, the top here. Remember, I'm working with a classic view. In case you are in the designer view, you may find some of these options on the right side. I am in a classic view. That's why I have this preview, and currently I'm working in design view as well. So I'm going to create a new div, okay, and I'll give the new div a name, an ID name. Remember, an ID name. I'll call it wrapper. And well, there's nothing in here, so I don't need to bother so much at insertion point, and I'm going to click on OK. So with the wrapper, I don't need this text in, so I'll just select the text and just hit delete and leave my cursor blinking in the div. All right, don't remove your cursor, keep it in right in there. I know I'm going to create a header. All right, so I'll need a header. So header. I'm creating a new div. Call it, give it an ID, a header. IDs will not accept spaces, so you want to avoid providing spaces in your ID names, and I'll click on OK. So I have a new header. You don't seem to see it so well, but it's right in there. So the next thing I want is the next div to be after, not nested in the header. Okay, so currently I have an ID called wrapper, and nested in that is an ID called header, but I don't want the next one, which is the navigation. Okay, so as we see here, I don't want the next one nested in the header. I want it outside of the header but inside the wrapper. So I'm going to create a new div, and I'll call it nav. Okay, for navigation, just short nav. Don't worry so much. You probably might even not know where your cursor is at the moment, but we want it after, and we want it after the header tag. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're starting from the top and then come to the left and then to the right. So I'm calling it nav, and I'm going to go and choose after the header, and I'll click on OK. So we have the new div created after. The next one we want to create is the content. So I'll go and click on that and choose and call it ID content, and I'm going to choose after tag. sorry, and I'll go, I want it after the nav tag. All right, and I'll click on OK. I'm going to create the next one, which is going to be my display area, as we saw. So I'll create a new div, and I'll call this display. The names are names that you make up for yourself, and I want it after, the content, and I'll click on OK. And now I'll need the last one. I'll go and create insert div, and I'll call this footer, and I want it after tag, and I want it after the display tag. So I now have my divs, and if you go into a code view, sometimes it's even self-explanatory. Right here we have the div wrapper, and we have the closing div wrapper, and nested in the div wrapper you have these other 5 divs. Okay, now we have created our divs. We want to, I'm going back to my design view. We want to now style them and have them positioned. What I'm going to do basically here is to just use colors to distinguish the different sections so you get to understand. So I'm going to start with the wrapper first. That's the main one. So I'm going to have it centered on the page. I know my images, the width of my page is going to be 640. I have used 640 just for display purposes, so you may have something else. Right, so I'm going to go into my style sheet. It says no styles defined yet. We don't have any styles defined, so I'm going to define rules for my wrapper. Basically, we have finished working with HTML. All we're going to do is to use CSS styles to define the look of these divs. So with normally to help me type something, I select the wrapper. If you can select it, just come down here, and you recall we gave these ID names. So it's an ID in the first place, and we gave it a name called wrapper. You want to type #wrapper. If you use uppercase, you want to maintain that. If you use lowercase, then you want to maintain that. It's case sensitive. All right, so I'm going to click on OK. And for the wrapper width, we are going to find it under box category, and we will give it 640. We want it to be 640. When I click on apply, you will now see that it sort of adjusts and it's aligned to the left. Let me give the background color so you see exactly what is going on. I'll give a temporary background color of this yellow, and so that's what we have for now. But we want the page to be centered. Okay, we want the page to be centered. We want this wrapper thing to center all the content. And so to have it centered, we would go to box, and the centering will have to do with the margin. So I'll uncheck same for all. I'm going to type 0 for the top, 0 for the bottom, but for right and left we say adjust automatically. So basically what we're saying is that we want you to adjust on the left and adjust on the right automatically. When you click on apply, you will see the page is now centered. All right, so that helps for now. We are going to just use colors and maybe a bit of height to define the header section and the nav section, content section, and then we see how we go. So we are basically done with the wrapper. Later on, if we need to change the color, we'll come back and do so. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to go into the header. Well, instead of using a width, let me go straight ahead and insert images into this. So I'll get rid of the content, okay, the text in there, and I want, this is the header, so I need the logo and the banner image right in here. So to do so, to insert images, I'm going to go to my navigation, that's my files panel, and I can insert from the images. However, I'm going to use the assets panel. Okay, when you select the assets panel, there are a set of buttons down here. Depends on the one you have selected. If you click on this, you're going to see flash files populate here. Okay, I don't have any flash file. If you click on color, you're going to see the colors that you've used so far on the site. But for images, you want to make sure the first one is selected. And now I'm looking for a logo. This is an alphabetical order, so I'll go L for logo, logo.png. When you have it selected, because I have my cursor already clicked in, I'll just click on insert down here, and it's asking for an alternative name. I'll just call this logo. Okay, and this is an accessibility attribute, so I'll click OK. It takes a few seconds, and my image is now in there. I need the second image right on the right side of this, so I'll leave this selected, and I'm going to go and look for the banner image, which is B banner image. So I'll go up somewhere here, and I'll go, okay, I call it banner hole, and I'll click on insert. So here I'll say banner Okay, and I'll click on double N, and I'll click on OK. So I have these two. Actually, I cropped these in Photoshop, so when you add the two, they add up to 640 as the width. Well, with the content, the nav here, we want to make the nav section our 170. Okay, so we're going to insert the images into that content. So I'll select the text and have it deleted. Realize that when I delete it, you almost don't seem to see it. Okay, we have not deleted the div itself, but we just deleted the content. And sometimes when you delete the content, it's a bit difficult for you to see the div itself, but hopefully it's there. So I'm not going to click anywhere, leave my cursor where it was, and I'm going to insert the images. So I'll go in here and I'll go to the assets panel. With the images, the first image I'm looking for is the home button, and the home button is down somewhere here, so H for home. Okay, I gave them names: home, up, home, over. We will come to use the rollovers, but that will be taken care of in another training. Here I'm going to go for home underscore btn underscore up, and I'll click on insert, and I'll call this home button, and I'll click on OK. So I have that image in there, right? So I'm going to go for my about us, which is about underscore btn. So about underscore btn up, and I'll click on insert. I'll ignore this for now so I can be able to finish this much quickly. I'm going to go for the next one, will be gallery underscore btn up, and I'll click on insert. I'll go for my contacts underscore btn. Okay, so that should be C. So contact underscore btn, somewhere down here. Okay, up, and I'll click on insert. Well, I need one of them, which is called the links, and I want it in between the two. So I these to the gallery and the content. So I can click on the one. In that case, it's going to come right in front of this one, and I'll go and look for my assets and look for the links. So L for links underscore btn up, and I'll click on insert, and I'll click on OK. Right, so I have this, but this is not how my layout actually looks like, because I have not defined the look of that particular nav div. So I'll go into it and define the look of it. I want the width to be 170, and that's exactly what's going to fix the problem here for me. So I'll go into the my style sheet, and I'm going to create a new rule. Okay, because it's an ID, I want to go and choose an ID, and I'll type hash, and now you spell it the same way as you spelled it earlier on, and I'm going to click on OK. With this, the first thing I want to go for, let me go for a background color. I may get rid of it a bit later, just a different color, so I can see what is going on. All right, and I can see that change. So I want to go for the width. I'm going to give it a width of 640, and I'll click on apply. All right, so 640 pixels. Okay, and I want it to float to the left because I need this to actually be on the left side and not to float here. So the width, I'm going to make it 170. Okay, not 640, 170 for that, and I'll float it to the left. Actually, we will float everything within the div except the wrapper itself. So when we click on apply, we have that floating on the left side, and we can put some more content down there if we need to. For now, that's all I'm going to do for the nav section, and I'll click on OK. I'll go to the content area, I'll click in there, and I'll go into my CSS style panel. I'll create a new div. This one I want hash content. If the name is typed for you like this, you can click on less specific, but make sure that you have the name hash content and spelled exactly the way you need it. If you have any extras in front, get rid of them. That's all we want. You can choose the ID, or you can leave it at compound. That works well as well for any other one. And I'm going to click on OK. So for my content, I'm going to give it a background color that's slightly different from what we have. So maybe let me sample a color from within this. I'll go and sample a color, something like that, and I'll click on apply. I'm going to go into the box category and to give it a width of 470, and I'll float it to the left. Remember, we're going to float everything except the wrapper. to the left. Okay, so I'll click on OK for now. Later on, I'll come to work on the padding and margin for the content, but for now, let me just change the text color so it's a bit clear. So text, everything text will go under type, and I'm going to give it a color of white. Okay, so with that, I can decide to go for the font family, and let me go here and choose Arial and that font family, and I'll go a font size of 14 just for display purposes. Okay, so I'll go and click on OK for now, and I'm done with the content. I'll go and define the look of the display area. With the display, we know we want it to fill the whole the width of the page. So I'm going to go into my style sheet, and I'll go and click on new, and we want hash display, and I'm going to click on OK. With this, I'll give it a background color. Let's go for this gray color here. We can change it later on if we don't need it. Similarly, we'll change the type and give it a background text font color of white. I'll go, and in this case, I'm going to go for the Georgia Times New Roman family. And with that done, I'm going to go to the box category and give it a width of 640. Okay, so that spans the whole width. We don't see it exactly where we need it, and so we have to actually float it to the left, just like the other ones. When we click on OK, now that sits exactly where we need it. Okay, we'll put some content in here very soon, but for now we're going to define rules for the footer. I think I didn't spell it correctly, so obviously you would be able to spell yours correctly. Well, I'll go into my styles, and I'm going to click on add a new rule, and I actually change the name, less specific, so hash footer, and I'm going to click on OK. With that, I'll go into, largely I need the width to be 640 as well. In this case, I want to float it to the left, and just give it a background color, something a little different. Let me go for that gray color one more time. Okay, so that's what we're going to go for, and with that we will go for a font color. So font, we go to type, and on the type category I'll give it a white color, and we want to change the font family to say we'll keep the Georgia again, and we'll go for a font size of 12. Okay, normally that area keeps a much smaller font size, but we want to keep the text centered. That's for the footer. We want it centered and not aligned to the left. So this is where we'll go. We'll go to the block level, the block. Okay, and under text alignment, we're going to choose center. So this is going to center the text, and if I should move this somewhere here and I click on apply, you'll see the page centered onto the left. So we'll come back if we have to make a few changes and adjustments to this, but this is what would get us to have our page to align nicely. And let me just very quickly put in some content here. So before I close on this tutorial here, I have in some text document. Really doesn't make any much sense. You don't want to attempt to read this, but it's just some Latin text, and I'm going to paste it in here within this space. Okay, and so that's our layout. We have a visual clue of what that is. Let's preview this very quickly, and then we will call it a day. So that will be the first part. I'm going to preview this down here, preview in Safari, and I'll click on save, and when I reload, well, that's what we have. You don't see the yellow color here, that's fine, and that's what that's what we expect anyway. It's only Internet Explorer that would display that color for you, and for now that's what we want. And so hope that this helps a lot. Thanks for watching my tutorials, and hope to see you